Well, my trip to Europe is just about complete. I'm in Stockholm, Sweden right now. We'll be heading back in a couple of days to the good old USA. Did a little more hunting over the last week or so and found a few gems. Going to talk about those in a minute here on the sound of Safe and Sound, Texas. Hello, and welcome back to the sound of Safe and Sound, Texas. I'm David Bianco with you. So, it's been a long month. I've been in Europe since the end of May, and here it is the 21st of June, and I'll be leaving in a couple of days heading back. So, did some scouting of records, I told you on the first part, and didn't know if I was going to have a second part, but since I did find some interesting things, I thought I'd share those with you. And I'm going to start with a really odd one. Uh, Bay City Rollers, not exactly a band that I followed very much at all, but they were popular in the day. It's like a greatest hits gatefold. But the interesting part about this is, and you may be able to see, the members of the band signed this. So God knows there's probably somebody out there who really would find that cool. So for what I paid, I thought, it's worth getting just for the novelty of it. Got a copy of Till Tuesday from the Netherlands here. That's a pretty good album. I'll see if that's an upgrade for me to what I have. Got the soundtrack to Local Hero, Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits. Got one I've been looking for a little bit, the 12-inch singles version of Howard Jones, and I've been kind of looking. It's called the 12-inch album, so I've been looking for that. So I found a nice Netherlands version of that. Found FM, which is a really great soundtrack if you don't have a double album soundtrack. Leading off with the FM song by Steely Dan, which is only available on this album and their greatest hits called Gold, not on any of their own albums, just the Gold one. So pick this up, reasonable price. It's a really good album, and one that I really had been looking for a long time. This is the Tears for Fears album, Sowing the Seeds of Love, and it's called The Seeds of Love is the name of the album. The tune off of it, Sowing the Seeds of Love, which is kind of their attempt at a Beatles-esque kind of song. And I think they kind of pulled it off for the most part. But they re-released this about a year and a half ago, but this is the OG version. So I've been looking for an OG version for quite a while. So I picked up a couple Led Zeppelins I talked about in my previous videos. And looked around for any Led Zeppelins they had. They had in the town called Orebro, they had a bin of the higher end stuff of used stuff that was higher priced, higher dollar for a variety of reasons. So this one was in there. They had a few of them in their regular racks that were like, $18, $15, something like that. And this one was more than that, but not, you'll see in a minute why I wanted to talk about this one. So this is Led Zeppelin 2. It's the original SD 8236 Atlantic, so it's not the reissue. So I think many of us that know about this album have gone through this exercise of pulling out the album and then taking it out and looking in the dead wax and looking for something etched in the dead wax. And that something are the initials RL for Robert Ludwig. And so I did my due diligence like I always do on this, and gee, I'll be darned. Robert Ludwig. Flipped it over to the other side. Robert Ludwig. Wow. looked at the record, looked like it was in pretty good shape. There was a scuff on one song. So they had a record player there, and I threw it down on the turntable and listened to it. And I've heard a few of these over the years, and they usually sound pretty bad because the people that bought them really, played them and played them and played them. So I picked this up, and I hate to say it, but I don't know that the owner. I think he knew he had a first press or an early press, but I don't think he knew the Robert Ludwig story. And many of us do, of course, but I'll just quickly share it. When the album was first released, Robert Ludwig was told by the producer, cut it hot. They really want this to be hot. They really want this to be a strong album and really just, I'll say, jump off the grooves, kind of hard hitting. And he did that, and literally it jumped off the grooves. People had trouble playing it. It would skip, it would jump, the bass modulation was so extreme that the groove cuts were so abusive that a lot of tone arms and needles and styluses could not handle it. And so they had to basically back off and re-release and a cut that was more normalized, I would say, that wouldn't do that. So because of that, these have become pretty coveted, and it's harder and harder to find one that is decent. So for me, this is the pièce de résistance. I really hadn't been looking for it per se, and these go for, let's just say, hundreds of dollars. And let's just say that I paid less than three figures for it. Let's put it that way. So I felt like I got a really, really good deal, able to play it and listen to it and make sure it didn't skip. So I felt good about that. And so it really kind of made the trip, kind of worthwhile in that perspective. It had started off a little slow and a little bit concerning. Prices were up a bit, selection was down a bit. And, you got to go through the hunt. I sat in that store for probably 4 hours looking at all sorts of milk containers underneath the racks that were at standing level and really digging and looking and finding, like that Howard Jones I found that way, for example. So, I had nothing but time on my hands. So that's what a good vinyl dig is all about. So thanks for watching again. Appreciate if you would do a like and a subscribe to my channel. If you have any comments, of course, please put them in here. I'll look at those and also look at opportunities to talk about anything that you want. My next video will be back in the States, and at the end of June, I'll be announcing some interviews for July, which will be very interesting. So for now, from Europe, 7 hours ahead of Central Time in the US, I'm David Bianco here to say, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.